Welcome back to GMA3, everybody. It was 2 weeks ago, Biden administration announced the sweeping student debt forgiveness plan. The administration says about 27 million Americans will have up to $20,000 of debt erased. So more than half of federal borrowers, those from low-income households, receive federal aid, financial aid, through the Pell Grant program. But until recently, those Pell Grants were difficult or impossible to access if you had been convicted of a crime. That's a policy that critics say excluded a number of Black and Hispanic Americans from accessing higher education.
So here to discuss all of this is DeAnna Hoskins, President and CEO of Just Leadership USA. It's a social justice organization that advocates for those impacted by the legal system. DeAnna, thank you for being with us. You say that this debt relief plan does not go far enough because it doesn't provide that loan forgiveness to people who were not able to access Pell Grants. Tell us who has been most impacted.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon. Those most impacted are those who are formerly incarcerated at the time of their incarceration as individuals impacted by the '94 crime bill, which actually removed access to Pell Grants from correctional facilities if you were serving a time or if you have been convicted of a drug crime while actually receiving Pell Grant. So there's a myriad number of individuals that was impacted by the war on drugs that either had their opportunity to access to education delayed or denied that could not be part of the Pell Grant opportunities that were afforded to us.
And DeAnna, so many of those folks who weren't able to get Pell Grants and couldn't get federal aid, even if they wanted to go ahead and get an education and chose another route, what kind of situation did they end up with because they ended up maybe having to get a loan that was higher interest rate and ended up in a worse position?
Exactly, TJ. Obtaining loans that were considered personal loans, so that would not qualify up under this student loan forgiveness. I even take myself, for instance, a lot of taking out a home equity loan to pay for education that is not qualified to be reimbursed, but the funds were specifically utilized for education. So not having that access, they're still excluding a large segment of the population that was mostly impacted by a policy that our now president, when was senator, actually sponsored.
And DeAnna, you say here that education is the great equalizer when it comes to people who've been convicted of crimes, who are looking for a new start, for a way to get out of this cycle of crime. And you have a very personal story that proves that point.
Yes, thank you, Amy. Actually, having access to education, we know, is a great equalizer to increasing your social economic opportunities, but it's also a public safety issue that people aren't forced back into a survival mode of crime. I take my own story, knowing I had to have an education to balance out the felony conviction I had, to allow me the opportunity to even compete in a market that was saying that you had to have post-secondary education to qualify for higher paying income jobs, which actually gives you access to the American dream.
DeAnna, remind our viewers, I mean, through your research, this is what you advocate for. What do we know about education when it comes to and the impact on recidivism rates? It's in our this country's best interest to make sure we give people who are incarcerated or had been incarcerated access to education.
Yes, thank you, TJ. I think when the president announced this initiative, he stated that being incarcerated should not be a denial of access to education once you're released. Well, in reality, you want that person to become educated before release so that they're prepared to become a productive member of society, which again increases the opportunity of public safety, that they will not engage in a former mode of criminal activity as they previously did.
DeAnna, what would you like to see the Biden administration, Congress do to make the change that needs to happen to give people, all people, the opportunity for education?
Thanks, Amy. One of the things we know is that when decisions are being made, the people most impacted by the previous policies or the harms that have been done have to be included in the room when those policy decisions are being made, so that you can understand how those roles play out in our communities. If you really want to work with individuals who have been most impacted, they have to be a part of those conversations. They have to be in the room. They have to have a seat at the table, because only way you can reach equity and equality is having those most marginalized and oppressed a part of the opportunity to discuss what we're pushing throughout this country.
DeAnna Hoskins, we thank you so much. Okay, this is a lot of people do applaud what happened with the debt forgiveness. A lot of people say more should have been done, but the conversation about a certain segment of the population maybe hasn't been had enough. So we thank you for coming on and having that conversation. Thank you so much, okay?
Thank you, TJ and Amy.